Let's talk Aston Villa. Villa are investigating after fans faced turnstile delays, and actually some new seats didn't exist against Arsenal a couple weeks ago. Is it difficult financially for the club to upgrade the stadium or figure this out?
Well, look, I was absolutely amazed, like you are, when you mentioned those stories, how that could ever possibly happen at Villa Park, because the stadium is an older one. We know basically what's there, what should have been mapped onto the computer. There have been obviously some changes in the hospitality structure. I know the fans have been unhappy that it's been addressed at the top end, but as you say, at some of the lower end seats, the fans have not been catered for properly. I don't think it's a case of money so much. I think it's a case of the club wanting to spend the money on developing what they can right now, knowing that they may have to rip some of those things out because there are going to be some very major structural reforms in Villa Park in the coming year season. So it's a difficult one. I think that Chris Heck, who has come across from the States, from the NBA, has got some clear ideas about trying to increase the revenue. He's trying to do it from the top down, and knowing the Villa fans as I do, that doesn't work. It's a very sort of democratic situation in terms of everybody should be treated as equally as possible, and certainly there should be no favouritism, and certainly there should be no mistakes like happened here with the seats not being numbered properly, and issues at the turnstiles. Those things do happen when you have stadium access. I've been party to it before when we've changed different access systems, but those are normally just one-offs and they can be resolved. So I'm pretty sure there would have been a crack team on it on the Monday morning, making sure this is never going to happen again at Villa Park, because it's a great club and it should be a well-run club.
For sure, and you talk about Villa Park obviously being one of the older ones, can fit around, I think 42,000 is about the capacity. They're now in the Champions League this year, hoping to continue to have that Champions League success in the future. When and how can they look to actually upgrade the stadium and maybe fit 50, 60,000 like some of the bigger clubs are fitting these days?
Well, the plans are there to do it. The problem that Villa Park has got is the transportation links, and it is about the size of the train stations around the stadium, and being able to take, if you increase the volume in the stadium, then you've got to increase the way that people can get there and back. That's the biggest sticking point and the biggest blockage in the whole thing. There are some great plans to do. I had some great plans in terms of how to enlarge Villa Park. We had some fantastic ways to do it, but everybody has this bottleneck around the transportation, in particular the rail links. There isn't enough space around for the road and parking, etc. And with sustainable policies that have to be in place these days, it has to be train. I don't see suddenly 10,000 fans coming on the bikes, that's for sure. Which of course, some of the planners would love to see it, believe it or not, but that isn't going to happen. So until that train issue is resolved, that's going to be the biggest blockage, I think, for Villa Park right now.
For sure, and we talked about Champions League with Aston Villa. The Times reported that the top clubs could make an extra £23 million, give or take, from Champions League. How much do you think Aston Villa could make
Look,
in the competition?
I think they could be looking between 30 and 40. I mean, if they went all the way and won it, I mean, you'd be looking at 80. But I don't think Villa's going to have that sort of ambition this year. But certainly, I think they should be looking above 30. They'll get paid on results. Villa have still got a coefficient because of their European Cup winning history way back. And so, look, Villa should do well. They've got a blockbuster tie against Celtic, which will be another Battle of Britain. That one sticks out, but they have some Bayern Munich coming down to visit them as well. Some great fixtures for the Villa fans, and I'm sure that the sponsors and the other sort of kit suppliers, etc., will be paying bonuses as well on results. And I think Villa have got a chance to really clear over 30 million, and that's a big number. But the thing is, of course, they've started off quite well in the league this season. They've got to try and follow it up with another top four finish next year and maintain that Champions League revenue. If you can do that for 2, 3, 4 seasons, then you really are seeing a sea change in the club.
Yeah, and you mentioned weighing the two competitions. If you're Aston Villa, Unai Emery, how do you weigh that up? If you're in the trying to get out of the league stage versus making sure you have your strongest team on the weekend in the Premier League, which is more important in the immediate future?
Well, it's always been the age-old problem for managers as to how do they keep players fit. You tend to think league is your bread and butter. There's no doubt, but it's such a temptation now with the prize money at stake in the new Champions League format that you've really got to put out strong teams. Also, you tend to be charging the fans more for Champions League evenings, so you want to make sure that you put out the best product you can. So it's a straight conflict that both are very demanding. Villa have been quite active in the transfer window. They've tried to put a squad together that can actually cope with both. But you're in the hands of the gods in terms of injuries. I hope they stay fit, and I hope they can acquit themselves well. They've got some, as I say, some really exciting Champions nights coming up. But the league, they've started off okay, but they've got to keep that going. And that's when the rotation has got to happen in the squad. I saw Duran came on and scored at the weekend. So, that forward line's got to be rotated and fit and firing. So just as long as they keep injury free, then they've got to, work hard on both competitions.